Okay, folks, we're gonna get started now. Let's, yeah, we're burning time on the clock, so, don't forget to silence your gadgets. And if you have any paperwork for us, the Sergeant at Arms is Mr. Curran. Madam Clerk, whenever you're ready, we'll do a roll call.
Bell.
Here.
Curran.
Here.
Freeling.
Present.
Harrison.
Here.
Hinkleman.
Here.
Majerick.
Here.
Ott.
Here.
Pittsburgh.
Present.
Ballraff. Werfel. Yarborough. Elliott.
Here.
Mr. Chair, you have 11 present, 1 absent.
Thank you. Who's missing?
Mamie.
Oh, Mamie, she'll be along, I think. No, is she out today? Okay. John, you're designated hitter. Minutes from last week.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we approve the minutes from March 14th.
Is there support?
Support.
Okay, moved by Freeling, supported by Pitchford. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Minutes are approved. Requisition review.
Good morning. Does anybody have any questions about the requisition list that was sent out?
We're good.
No.
I'm sorry, one. Oh, you were right next to me. That's why I didn't see
Exactly.
you.
My hand was like down here.
In the periphery, right.
I only had some concern about some of the engineering charges for 3 drains that are within Bridgman. I know that we really don't have control per se on the expenses, but I did want to have a conversation with the drain commissioner because we've had conversations about another drain within the city limits that is $600,000 right now. And the engineering costs of those 3 drains are $400,000. So we're looking at $1 million within the city of Bridgman for expense. And so I just wanted to have that conversation with the drain commissioner to see what the status is and what we think total expense might be. If we could do that in finance.
John.
Yeah, Terry, we will look at that in finance. And I just like to echo Terry's comments. My concerns when I ran through the rec list was really kind of shocked that where we're at right now with these projects. And I know that it's out of our purview as county commissioners to take any adjustment, but I do believe the conversation needs to be had because even the rec list today, there's over $500,000 worth of additional drain costs on there this year, this week. So anyway, so we'll have that conversation.
One second, sir, and then.
Just a question for the finance committee. Do we have a year-to-date or previous years of how the drain charges deviate from historical norms and to what magnitude these are deviating? So 2024 versus 2023, going back maybe 5 or 6 years, just to see how much it has increased.
That information can be pulled together. We don't have it immediately, but we can get that pulled together. Just as point of clarity for finance committee members, would you like me to reach out to the drain commissioner to request that he attend this morning's meeting?
Rayante,
Yeah.
Terry, you would like that?
If he's available. I know it's last minute notice. but-
I'll step out and go make the request.
I think he's, okay.
Okay.
Well, but the request should still go out. If it's not today, it should be next week.
Got it.
We need to have a conversation.
That was it. That was my question,
Okay.
sir.
Let me know. I'll plan to be there.
Very good. We'll do.
Should we move forward with the rec though, since we really don't have a say?
Yeah, we don't really have a choice in the rec. We really don't, but conversation still needs to be had. So I'm all right with the recs, the way they have to
Moving
be.
it forward. Me too. I just wanted to ask for the conversation.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, and I'm not sure to set that up, but I would like to sit on that one as well, because Bridgman is in my district. And, that's money that they're gonna have to pay a portion of that. So if that's possible, I would like to sit in on that.
Clear that with your committee chair.
Okay.
Commissioner, let me figure out, it sounds like he's out of town today. Let me figure out if it's today or tomorrow, but either way, I'm sorry, today or next week. either way, I'll communicate back to you so that you can make that arrangement.
Yep. And I would also, Mr. Chair, request that Thaddeus probably be there because we'll need clarity. The thought from the drain department has been in the past that this money would come back to the citizenry through winning that lawsuit that's pending out there for the Bridgman area. And I'd like to have a candid conversation, but of course, that's not my purview, my field. So I'd like to have a candid conversation on what, if that's something that really should even be brought into focus at this point in time. So I'd like Thaddeus there as well when we have that. So it may be a meeting that if it takes place next week, that there'll be a number of people that would like to be part of it.
Understood.
All right. Yes, sir.
So one, I think, thing that might help is looking at the legal fees, the design fees, and then the actual construction, where it can be broken into different buckets, so we get a sense of how much is going into the work versus how much is for the planning of the work.
If we can, I'll organize your thoughts today in finance and then get back with you on who needs to be there for next week. If we can.
All right. And then if you would, Finance Committee, please forward brief Madam Chair Yarbrough so that she knows what's coming. And might not be a bad idea for corporate counsel to touch base with Attorney John Brennan ahead of time so that he can get spun up. I know this isn't his case. It's being handled by per diem counsel, I think up in Grand Rapids, maybe, but just to loop him in.
Yeah,
Courtesy.
we had a meeting with Drain Commissioners Council and John Brennan attended that as well. So he's briefed on the status of that litigation.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. Anything else on that? And so no recs are being pulled.
Correct.
Now, we have some scheduled discussions. We have a opioid settlement update, which is going to wait because we have a fair number of law enforcement folks and friends and families here. There's a Medal of Valor being awarded today and a life-saving award as well. Both of those are noteworthy and really speak to the character and integrity of the Sheriff's Department. And on behalf of the board, we are most happy that all of you are able to be here today. Sheriff Hite.
Thank you. First, thank you to the board for allowing us to do this in a public setting in front of you. So we appreciate that as always, to be able to recognize the work of two deputies. I also want to thank the family and obviously their coworkers that are here to recognize the achievements as well. So myself and Chief Deputy will present the awards. Under Sheriff Greg Sanders is in trial today, unfortunately. So he is not able to be here. But we will start with the life-saving award for Deputy Nicholas Jewell, and Chief Deputy Soulard will present it.
All right, let me read something off. On February 27, 2024, the Lincoln Township Police Department responded to a missing person on Ponderosa Drive in Stevensville. Multiple public safety agencies joined the search effort, deploying drones, K-9 units, and personnel in vehicles and on foot. The missing individual, an 81-year-old male identified as Paul A. Roy, had been missing since 6 p.m. and worsening weather conditions, including hail and later a National Weather Service tornado warning, added the urgency to the search. During the midnight patrol shift, Deputy Nick Jewell continued the search for Mr. Paul at approximately 1:10 a.m. on February 28th. Deputy Jewell located Mr. Paul, who was cold and wet from the thunderstorm. Deputy Jewell's keen eye spotted Paul lying in a grassy ditch. Mr. Paul complained of leg pain, and Deputy Jewell assisted him to his feet and aided him to walk into the patrol vehicle before the Medic 1 personnel arrived. Remarkably, the man had walked approximately 8 miles to the corner of Holden near Snow, where he was ultimately located by Deputy Jewell. Deputy Jewell's unwavering determination played a crucial role in ensuring a positive outcome for Mr. Paul. So we've given Nick Jewell the life-saving award through the Berrien County Sheriff's Office.
And I'll read. You're hereby commended for your assistance in searching, ultimately locating the 81-year-old male, Paul Roy, who had been missing since 6 p.m. on February 27th, approximately 1:10 a.m. on February 28th, while on midnight patrol and during a terrible storm. You located the individual lying on the grass. Were you able to assist him before arrival of medical and personnel? Remarkably, he had, as mentioned, had walked 8 miles from his home. Your unwavering determination played a crucial role in ensuring a positive outcome for Mr. Roy. Signed, Sheriff Hudson. Life-saving, he'll receive a life-saving pen for his uniform as well. Thank you. Thank you. Next, as mentioned, we do have a Medal of Valor. This is the highest award the Sheriff's Office has in our award system, and I would, Aaron Nanfeld. On November 13th, Berrien County Sheriff's Office received a call for service in Hager Township. This was a disturbance that quickly escalated into an armed domestic violence. The armed subject had laid in wait for police to arrive in a shed located on the property. Upon arrival, Berrien County Sheriff's Office, Coloma Township Police, and others departments, the suspect was not communicating. Shortly thereafter, the suspect emerged from a shed and opened fire on police. The suspect began to close the distance of police, and as he continued to shoot, an officer on scene was struck by one of the bullets from the suspect and went down. Deputy Aaron Nanfeld heard the shots and took up a position where he was able to engage and stop the suspect as the suspect continued to shoot at police. Deputy Nanfeld saved the lives of with his actions of 2 police officers that day. Deputy Nanfeld and other officers on the scene immediately rendered first aid to both the suspect and the injured officer. The suspect was transported to the hospital where he succumbed to his injury. The officer, thankfully, who was transported to the hospital, but later released that day. Deputy Aaron Nanfeld has been a member of the Sheriff's Office since 2000, where he started his career working in the jail. Deputy Nanfeld was sponsored through the Police Academy and then moved to Enforcement Division in 2003. Deputy Nanfeld has been a member of our special teams such as Crash Reconstruction and the Tactical Response Unit. I will also say, you may have seen Deputy Nanfeld as the 2023 Deputy of the Year, which was recognized about a week ago from the Exchange Club. Deputy Nanfeld remains a diligent worker, loyal friend, and positive influence to all. We are told there's no greater love than this, that a man laid down his life for his friends. Deputy Nanfeld has given himself significantly over the course of his career in service to others. And on November 13, 2023, Deputy Nanfeld gave up a large part of himself again as he acted decisively in defense of 2 of his fellow police officers. That's recollection. We came up with, I think there's 4 or 5 people in the history departments that has received the Medal of Valor. So with that, there's an actual medal that he'll get, but that doesn't fit very well in a uniform. So with that, he also does get a pen, our Valor pen, that will be able to be displayed on his uniform.
Then his certificate reads as follows. You are hereby cited and commended for your performance of an act so outstanding that the Medal of Valor Award is presented to you for your actions regarding an officer-involved shooting on November 13th, 2023, which occurred in the township of Hager. You acted without outstanding heroism. At the risk of your own life, you performed your duties in such manner as to reflect courage and dedication in the highest tradition of law enforcement profession.
Because I know Annette wants a photo. We'll go outside for big groups. Just bring that certificate. Thank you. And again, I just want to say thank you to the commissioners for helping us. Angela's smiling. Yes, he is. And everybody else, if you're excused. We'll do some photos outside. We don't. Thank you, Sean.
It's a lot of work.
This is gonna be pretty boring after that.
Yeah.
Okay, the
Right.
update on the opioid settlement, Guy Miller.
Good morning, commissioners. Kind of tough to follow up after just an awesome display of heroism by our officers. So really thankful to be part of that this morning. Thanks for calling me and Brian. This morning, I'm here to talk to you guys about the opioid settlement task force, where they're at, the different committees that you put together through acts of resolutions from the board. And I have a little bit of a summary, and I think you guys have a resolution this morning that you get to vote on. So I wanted to recap. I'm going to try to go through some of the background information pretty quickly. I've got, I think, 10 minutes of time here, and I don't want to be too redundant, but we have talked a lot about the opioid history, what's going on with this settlement in the past. We know it started in 2017, multiple federal lawsuits across the nation. There was a judge, essentially the multi-district litigation took place in Ohio. So then the Supreme Court decided that we're going to take all these opioid litigations into one courtroom and try to settle them all everywhere, which actually dismisses any private opioid suits that might have been disputed. They tried to correlate all of these together into one, which we refer to as the opioid settlement. So in 2021, the details of the settlement were released. What was being settled was actually kind of what I described. There is multiple lawsuits out there against the opioid distributors and manufacturers. These claims were taken up under one lawsuit, and what is being settled is a lot of the governments have agreed to release certain legal claims against the defendants related to the opioids. In exchange for those governments releasing those claims, the defendants have agreed to do certain things and pay certain money. What we're really focused on is the money right now, as a lot of this money has come to Berrien County. In total, the national settlement was $54.9 billion, and those are the distributors and manufacturers up on the screen right there that were involved in the settlement. So in the overview for Michigan is receiving $776 million over the 18-year period beginning in 2021. About 50% of the settlement amount will be sent directly to county and local governments. That's what we're going to get into. And then they had specific uses that they wanted to see the dollars being spent. 85% of the funds must be used for opioid remediation, and 70% of the funds used for future opioid remediation. They are allowing counties to pay up to 15% of that funding for any previous opioid remediation that had taken in the past. And then they had something in the opioid settlement called Exhibit E, which we refer to a lot throughout the opioid settlement process, which outlines allowable uses of the settlement funds. So in Berrien County, our original presentation to the board, the health department presented in December of 2022. The health officer, our public health promotions and prevention supervisor, and our medical director kind of made sure that everybody was aware that this money was coming. Berrien County was then and is now slated for about $8.6 million over the next 16 years. Payments have been front loaded. They have a payment calculator that I've shared with our team that is on the Attorney General's website. That's pretty helpful with anticipating how these payments are coming into Berrien County. It's not one lump sum. It's not even an even amount over that 16 years. It's kind of this distributor was supposed to pay X amount of dollars over 6 years. This distributor is paying X amount of dollars over 18 years. So there's a lot of different kind of pots of money that are coming into the state and then being released down to local municipalities such as Berrien County. So over the next 5 years, we'll see roughly $750,000 coming in annually. And after that 5 years, $410,000 coming in annually. So I'm happy to report that Berrien County was very quick to respond with organizing, gathering community organizations and proposing the formation of the following committees: the Opioid Settlement Task Force, which was created May 2023, the Opioid Settlement Review Committee, which was created November 2023, and the Opioid Settlement Oversight Committee, which was created per resolution November 2023. So the Opioid Settlement Task Force, which I just mentioned, their goal was to develop a plan for creating, monitoring, and evaluating opioid settlement disbursement of funds. The process that we used in establishing this task force was to we sent out a community letter in March to engage key community stakeholders. Nearly 100 letters were sent out, and I'm sorry, that's March of 2023, not this month. We requested survey response to opioid settlement task force needs and organizational priorities to help identify community gaps. From there, we were able to take a lot of the people who expressed certain needs or had specific stakeholder groups to formate the opioid settlement task force per resolution P2306235. The group began meeting in May 17th of 2023 and met through September 23rd of 2023, twice per month for 9 meetings. The products out of this group was a request for proposal template, a proposal scoring template, a funding and management agreement template, a resolution that was the opioid spend plan, a resolution that was the opioid review committee, and the oversight committee. These were the members of the opioid settlement task force, multiple organizations throughout Berrien County. So the opioid settlement task force also came out with 4 objectives and how they would recommend the funds be spent. You'll see at the very bottom, their last objective is Exhibit E, and that is that the Michigan Association of Counties document, the Attorney General's document, is all referring back to Exhibit E and how to appropriately spend the money. So those objectives were generated based on that Exhibit E and Johns Hopkins guiding principles as well for opioid spending. The opioid settlement task force deliverables were partly mentioned as follows, but they also came up with a list of recommendations for the board to make. Once the opioid settlement task force delivered those, they were essentially resolved. The opioid settlement review committee was then kind of up to bat with the proposals being posted. The county posted a proposal, I think, beginning of January. And closed proposals February 28th. The opioid settlement review committee was established to gather feedback and justification on final scores, summarize the feedback, and add these comments to a summary document to be presented to the finance committee, which was presented last week. The members, as per the resolution, consisted of the health department, medical director, specialty courts manager, corporate counsel, sheriff, health officer, prosecutor, public health promotions supervisor, and 3 county commissioners. Due to some conflict of interest, the medical director was actually not able to be on our committee meeting. So he did not actually review these scores despite the resolution designating him, but he was employed by one of the organizations that did apply for the funds. So the opioid settlement review committee was essentially tasked with scoring all of the requests for proposals. Berrien County did receive 6 of them. The scoring template outlined the key areas that they were focusing in on, and they all assigned weighted scores to those areas. All of the scoring was done independently of each other. We did not meet, we did not discuss this until we came up with our final justification. Additional supporting documents for things like budget narrative, project history and promise, and supporting documents such as budget, resume, letters of support, and other materials demonstrating support or proof of concept. So the timeline we had, just taking this day by day here, February 28th, the request for proposals were opened or were given to the Berrien County Finance. I'm sorry. The proposals were opened. So that was in this room at 9:30 a.m. We opened all 6 proposals. On March 5th, the Opioid Settlement Review Committee met virtually to discuss the assignment. The proposals were dispersed to each member of the Opioid Review Committee to be scored independently of each other. Committee members using this proposal scoring sheet, and the final scores were weighted and combined into a completed scoring matrix. The scoring matrix was used to determine how the ranking order of the proposals were submitted to the County of Berrien. On March 12th, each proposal was then discussed in an in-person meeting of the review committee. Any disclosure or conflicts of interest were made or had been addressed, and feedback to every proposal was collected in the FY24 Summary of Proposals document, which has been made available publicly. On March 14th, the Opioid Settlement Review Committee made recommendations to Finance Committee. A resolution was proposed to the Personnel and Human Services Committee for the award to go to 2 organizations who were scored the highest. On March 21st, that's today, the resolution is going to the Committee of the Whole. The next part in the opioid settlement process will actually be setting up the Opioid Settlement Oversight Committee. So the goal of this committee will be to be good stewards of grant funds by ensuring accountability, transparency, and effectiveness in the distribution and utilization of the Berrien County opioid settlement funds in Berrien County, Michigan. The objectives will be to monitor grant implementation, will be financial oversight, will be compliance and accountability, and evaluation and impact assessment. That group, per resolution, will consist of the following members, and I believe we will have a time for this to be an open application process too. We don't for this. We have organizations who the board would like to see a part of that. So the next step in the opioid settlement is to generate and enter into a contract agreement with the awarded organizations. Would be to open applications for the Opioid Settlement Oversight Committee, and obviously continuously monitor the expenditures of the award grant monies with the Opioid Oversight Committee. Also, something I need to mention is this was a 3-year funding cycle. The plan is we'll be receiving this money for at least the next 16 years. And as you've seen, we're going to be underspending the money in the next 3 years, which means we have an opportunity to make a decision with whatever the board is willing to do with those funds, which I would recommend doing the same process again with more organizations. I hope this happens again in 3 years once this 3-year FY 24 to 26 has been completed. Any questions or discussion?
Chokwe, then John.
Just looking at one of the slides for the review committee, how did that committee ensure with a group that may have sat on the committee, but also applied for funds, how that was kind of leveled out if that occurred in any way? And I think if we go back to it. Keep going.
That was the review committees here. So are you talking about conflict of interest?
It's before this, but yes, I think I saw Sacred Heart may have sat on the review committee, but also applied. Is that correct or incorrect?
So Sacred Heart was part of the opioid settlement.
So they were not allowed to then sit on the review committee. Perfect. That was my
Correct.
question. And then the only other follow-up questions I had was, what would you say to any groups that didn't get funding but currently do this work in Berrien County? How could they partner with this, continue to be allies, and kind of be a part of this process going forward?
Yeah. So we received 6 applications. 2 of them were selected for award. I have to say we saw some remarkable applications. And the whole purpose of the review committee too was to give good feedback back to those applications, because we pointed out a few things like, hey, you need to work on this area here. Hey, if you're citing a partnership, make sure you're including a letter of recommendation or a letter of reference from that organization. I think there's a lot of proposals that we'll see again for funding, and I hope they get funded in the future. I think there's a lot of good things going on in Berrien County around substance use disorders. Very excited about the two proposals that the committee did bring forth. And I think it's a win overall for Berrien County today, that we've got two amazing applications that the County of Berrien are looking to fund.
John.
Yeah, real quickly, mine is comment more procedure for Sharon. If this goes into the minutes, on the timeline, on March 21st, we've got the resolution went to the committee of the whole, and that should be just corrected to something different. The Board of Commissioners, because it shouldn't have gone to the committee of the whole, because that's not where the resolution will get proved out at. So I just want to make sure that for clarity in the future, like that it's done properly. So if she gets a copy of the presentation, that should be corrected to Board of Commissioners or whatever.
Okay. And you understand we're dealing with this at the 10:30 meeting, not at the workshop.
Sure. I thought this was the committee of the whole. My mistake.
This is, but a resolution can't be, a resolution, we don't vote on anything at this point in time. It'll have to come out of the second meeting. So that's why it can't come here. It's got to go to the second meeting. It's just.
So it should say the second meeting?
It should say Board of Commissioners.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so,
Thanks, Jim.
so come back at 10:30 and we'll pretend we didn't hear it.
Appreciate that.
No, it's fine. It's just we won't take action till 10:30. Who else had questions? Alex?
I have a couple of questions. So we're getting 700 million and some change. 50% of it was responsible to coming to the county's direct, or 8 million and change. Okay. Where's the other 50% of that money? Did that just go straight to the state? Is that my understanding then?
So the state is doing a 50-50 split between the state's organizations and local municipalities.
Okay.
So they're getting that money and they're taking half of it and they're giving it to local jurisdictions. And there was some holdup with the disbursement of funds because some of the counties were arguing that they deserve a bigger slice of the pie. That case ended up being dropped. And then whatever the state spend plan did occur. So we were a little bit delayed in we were supposed to, I think, start getting money in 21 or 22, and it took a year.
Okay, then my second question is, the money that was given to the county, is that slated just for programs, or is that something that, like the sheriff department, do they have access to those funds as well? Like
So the restrictions to the spending of the dollars is based on those documents, Exhibit E. So where the Attorney General's office wants to see those being spent could be something like the Sheriff's Department. And this whole process was set up to try to make sure that we were following Exhibit E and the Johns Hopkins guiding principles for how to spend opioid settlement funding.
Anyone else?
I just have a comment. Having served on the opioid review committee for the applications, I would echo what you stated there were 6 applications that were incredibly encouraging. And this is an opportunity for us to be leaders in how we proceed with this spending down of the opioid settlement to make certain that it is real and tangible in its outcomes. And there was a lot of vigorous discussion after we had reviewed these and sat down in the boardroom there at the health department to kind of vet these all out. And I personally would encourage all of those that were not awarded to please take the feedback that was received and consider figuring out how to partner, apply again if we open that opportunity up even before 3 years. Because there's a lot of good work and a lot of great passion in this area to serve the constituents of Berrien County and those who are most impacted by substance abuse use.
Commissioner Werfel, Commissioner Freeling, if you're willing to just provide additional illustration, we have one project up and running now in the jail.
Yes.
I don't know if either of you would be willing to provide that clarification, but
Oh,
just to dovetail
help,
onto Alex's
sure.
question.
I was gonna state that and kind of slipped my mind. You'll recall that we took action as a board. I think it was late fall where we appropriated $180,000 for a MAT program, medical assistance treatment within the jail. In order, because that is one of the, it's actually the gold standard of how to utilize these opioid settlement dollars. And so that is something that we're utilizing. And I know that the sheriff and the staff at the jail are keeping track statistically of how that program is working. It was a pilot program that we set up. So.
And I would add to that, that when that took place, the committee was still, the task force was still meeting. And we all agreed, including the members of the sheriff's department and the prosecutor's office, that even internally for additional funds, they will go through the same process. So with that said, there were no internal applications. And to Commissioner Pitchford's question about the local organizations that applied, all 6 were from Berrien County. All 6 applications came from here. They were all organizations within this county.
But none of them leave.
Sure.
Just for the review committee members and to the health officer, do we see any room for change in the growth of this process? Did we ask any of the applicants how they went through the process, how it was for them? What was the grant application like? Was it easy to maneuver through? Was it readable, understandable? Did we do any of that data collection yet?
I had not done any of that. And as leading a lot of the committee, I had received questions from the public too. So if people had questions during the RFP process, usually they were very, very minor questions. A lot of the organizations were really able to follow the structure in the RFP template that we have put out, and the level of detail in some of these applications was mind-blowing. But it also kind of created a little bit of a system where you're kind of comparing 2 applications against each other, and you've got one application where you know how every cent is being spent, and then another one where it wasn't quite as detailed. So the justification document that we did create, does have areas of improvement for each applicant. So we didn't just give a blanket to say, be more detailed. We said, be more detailed in these specific things. If you're using a program, please specify its success in the past. And this is in the RFP template too. Please specify its success in the past, or if it is an evidence-based or evidence-informed program, please cite that.
I guess what I'm hearing is the committee itself didn't see that anything with the RFP process was something worth revising in the future when this comes back. Everything was perfect.
Well, I wouldn't go so far as to say everything's perfect, because there's always room for growth and change. If you will notice in what Guy presented, the timeline, the work that we did as the task force was long, right? We had 9 months or more of meeting. We had 9 meetings to sort of work through all of this. We took the recommendations from Johns Hopkins, from Exhibit E, from the NACO Association, which is National Association of Counties, from MAC, which is Michigan Association of Counties, of some of those recommendations in their process. But we really woodshed this and worked through it, took all of the information in the task force from those stakeholders who were sitting around the table. And so the timeline of when we did the review committee was very short. So I do know that we had conversation of, once we presented this to the board, once we formalized it, we would likely be receiving feedback from those applicants because these are really boots on the ground. These are the individuals who are working with the impacted members that we want this money to benefit from, right? And so we have wanted to have that feedback, but as it relates to the RFP process, we haven't had time to have that discussion. And certainly I think that Guy has always been, and his staff has always been, one that's been open to reviewing the process and making certain that it is the best and most beneficial for those that are participating in it. But no, we have not received that feedback. And I don't know of any other state or federal grant programs that allow that back and forth. Normally the money's there, you get feedback to the applicants. And I don't know that there's ever that exit process for the applicant. Okay, thank you.
If there's no
Thank you, sir.
objection, we'll wrap this up. Thank you, Guy. We'll go to public comments and then get to the committees. Anyone wish to be heard? Name and town, up to 2 minutes if you wish to opine. Yes, ma'am.
Yes, Marletta Seats. I was an applicant and I do have some concerns with the RFP. I was on the phone last night for about 2 hours with people that do work at the state level and do RFPs. And there were some questions within the template which were misleading. And the gentleman who did our RFP also misunderstood, and he's been doing this for 20 years. And there was a portion in there that could be misleading. I'm wondering where our feedback is. I'm wondering where our assistance is as far as, and I'm wondering in 2024, why we're still using hard copy RFPs when everywhere else has portals that you use electronically. So if there is a submission that is not adequate, that it sends it back. So in 2024, a county of this magnitude is still using hard copy. I understand basically that we scored the lowest, although we're the longest standing program as far as substance abuse prevention, other than the county health department. We did bring Sacred Heart here. We did bring Vivitrol here. We did bring Narcan here. We did bring Sacred Heart again with 20 some other people at the table, but yet they're saying that a possible error because of a RFP miscommunication on one of the pages was not explicit enough to detail. We could have did detailed budget planning. We could have did, but our experience, I think we brought experts. We brought the governor's office in the jail. I've lost 53 girls in 15 years. That doesn't allow me to be able to be part of this opiate task force. I asked to sit on the task force. I was denied. And again, the Benton Harbor area, is it really covered? Or are we determining what's covered by a scoring system? Or are we determining just by a scoring system who lives and who dies, or who's adequate to provide services? Our program is the longest standing. Like I said, I've had medical doctors that have been in here that are experts in brain damage. And I will put our program beside anybody else's, but when we don't have resources to be able to expand, then you impede our ability to be able to help more people. 25 men in the men's class, 53 in the women's class. I appreciate your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard? Yes, sir.
Michael Albert Hoy, City of Benton Harbor. It's with great honor that I get to be the ambassador to this program that's going to go out nationally. This past December, the country and the world lost a monumental person. That's the book that you'll see here is called Monumental, for Richard Hunt. Richard Hunt has made Berrien County his home since 1974 with a piece down in Niles. Richard Hunt then also placed himself in the city of Benton Harbor to spark the Benton Harbor Community Renewal for the Arts. He has another piece that is over at the hospital called Silver Linings. The other piece that he has is over at the Krazel, Rising Tides. Richard was a mentor of mine. I helped him move into his building in the 1990s, helped paint the walls and get it ready for him. Back in 2023, the mayor of Chicago proclaimed April 24th Richard Hunt Day for the city of Chicago. The next year, April 24th of 2023, the Governor Pritzker actually made the declaration for Richard Hunt become Richard Hunt Day for the state of Illinois. We are looking to be included into that Berrien County would take on becoming part of the Berrien County of Richard Hunt Day, seeing that his largest piece, the tallest piece he ever constructed, is sitting here in Berrien County at a Berrien County Park, which is ANUC's down at the crest of the bear. One of the things I didn't know about my friend Richard Hunt was his civil rights things that he did. Back in, it says here, if I could get my reading glasses on, back in 19, it's up. Thank you. We'll continue on with this, and I'll bring you more information, but we're looking to be a part of the city of Benton Harbor. It already has done it. City of St. Joe is in the works of doing it, and we're getting things up through the state channel. So thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't come over here very often. I was passing, I had some other business in the counties, but I seen one of the seats. And she looked my way, indicating you should be in here. So I'm glad I did come in here. I'm sorry, my name is Eddie Marshall from the city of Benton Harbor. I'm kind of excited about what I'm about to say, so that's why I kind of overlooked my name and what have you. But at any rate, my concern is with all the activities, the input, the time that Ms. Seats put into this program, why did you deny her the opportunity to sit on that board? That's my concern. The other concern is from a personal standpoint. I know that opioids are a problem in our community, and they are precipitated by medical professionals. Well, how do you know that? Because I went to the doctor with a pain in my foot. He asked me, what's the level of your pain? From a score of 1 to 10. I said 2. He prescribed for me opioids.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else wish to be heard? Okay, we'll conclude public comments. Anyone have any other business? Then we'll break for committees and come back in an hour and